What's up, Rockstars? I got a long-awaited news video for you guys. There's a lot of new things coming up, but more importantly, there's a lot of updates, some things entering production, some things coming to your home very soon I want to talk about, and just some general updates on all of these huge campaigns that have been going on just recently. I'm rocking the Into the AM hoodie that I got recently. It is awesome. I used it all day today. Me and my wife took our youngest daughter to the pumpkin patch where we did a corn maze and did all that fun fall stuff that you do with young kids. And it was a lot of fun, but it was a little chilly. That being said, this kept me nice and warm. Very, very highly recommended. Super soft. Love it a lot. That being said, of course, link down in the description below to that and all the games that I'm about to cover starting now. This is Keep the Heroes Out boss battles. Now, this is kind of interesting because if you recall the original one, Keep the Heroes Out, I almost backed and I didn't quite do it. And now I'm kind of regretting it again, and now I'm thinking maybe I get back into it again. It looks like a lot of fun. If you have a family that you play board games with, especially with younger children, this is pretty much like you should probably get this. It looks really good. 5,733 backers. 429,000 raised. They're doing very good until 15 days to go. So this is doing very good. It did have a 72-hour early bird. By the time I'm posting this, it's probably a little bit too late. I do apologize for that. But you can see right now, a lot of people have been doing the returning backer, 4,156. That is something I try to look at all the time with these like reprints or ones that add expansions. How many people actually liked the game enough to get more? Looks like quite a bit actually. So that's really, really cool. And even the base game getting 128, but this boss battle combo early, over 1,000 people. This gets you the original game plus the expansion plus the little unicorn one that they added here. And I don't think that's a good picture for it because it lines the expansion with the original, so it kind of looks like you're not getting quite as much. So yeah, very, very well done here. $60 for the early bird. That's of the new stuff with the unicorn poop one, which of course is needed. So you have like your normal one. Where you go through and you fight these like little mice or imps or the red dragon or skeletons or lizard folk, or there's all sorts of ones. The boss battle one adds vampire, Medusa, stone troll, and shroom troop, and then they also have the sparkling guardian unicorn one with rainbow poop. Of course, it looks like a lot of fun. Oh, and of course, Cthulhu. I think he was in the last one as well. So. Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. It's very colorful. The game seems to be enough for adults to enjoy, but still also where your kids can play and not need, too much hand holding and stuff like that, which I think is really key. The art looks just fantastic. I love this art here. And you actually get quite a bit of stuff. So it looks like a lot of fun. Definitely something that looks good to me. Look, more crafting. It looks good. So yeah, $45 for the boss battle expansion. But again, a lot of people are just going and getting everything. Right now, that's $105. So just as an FYI, it is a little bit pricier now that you're 2 campaigns into it, right? So it's a whole campaign worth of stuff, plus now the new stuff as well. Yeah, looks super cool, definitely. Next up, we also have, this is an interesting one, Through the Desert, A Message from the Stars, and Switchbacks. 3 games. This is what BoardGameTables.com, they're all play stuff. This is what they do. They do these like multi-game Kickstarters, and they're doing quite well. 151,000, almost 2,000 backers, 17 days to go. This has to be one of the weirdest videos I've ever watched. Watch at your own peril. It's a guy like crying on a beach eating ice cream at one point. Okay, I mean it's just crazy. Essentially, they do one that's like sci-fi, one that's like hiking, and then one that's like desert. Right, that's why he's like in the sand or whatever. It's goofy, it's silly, it's fun, of course, but it doesn't help you with the game at all. Games, I should say. So it's $40 for Through the Desert, $40 for A Message from Stars, and $20 for Switchbacks. All of these actually look like pretty legit games, and you can get them all combined for like $100 with some $97. That's with some upgrades. So these upgrades here, one for each one. So there's a Oasis expansion for Through the Desert. There's this component upgrade for A Message from Stars. And then there's this component upgrade for the meeples for Switchbacks as well. And a mystery token of, whatever. So what does each one of these do? Well, they kind of actually showed a little bit here. So the Through the Desert, you're obviously building like these lines of caravans of camels, right? So a lot of that kind of stuff, but obviously a little bit more there. Make routes to the oasis, claim valuable watering holes, carve out territories in the deserts, watch out for caravans, other caravans of the same color, block each other, right? And so you're it's essentially playing multiplayer Snake, right? Just that sort of thing, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, you have that Oasis, Bazaar expansion. I did say that wrong, where it looks like you get a few upgrades there as well. Now, if you go to A Message from the Stars, it's one of those games where you're trying to like guess the word, right? But in kind of an interesting way, because it's like you're getting clues, right? So you're talking to Houston or whatever, right? And there's that kind of back and forth there. So you set up your cipher message cards, send transmission, scientists send transmissions back, use deduction to determine the possible cipher to get the actual word that you're looking for there. That's pretty cool too. I dig that. And then, of course, there's switchbacks. And this one, you're going through and laying down tiles and then trying to essentially hike through there. As you can see, you go in different sequences. And the component upgrade actually looks a lot nicer. Like this one actually looks pretty legit. And again, you get like 53 of them. There's a whole bunch. I think on the show on they show on the game, you get like a ton, right? So there's a whole bunch that you're there, but you only have one of the colors as you're trying to essentially connect 4 of them together in a row. And that's how you gather points through that. So you can see there's some like multicolor ones and stuff like that going on by the looks of it. That's pretty cool. And again, you get all the component upgrades pretty much for free. So this is about $100 if you add them all separately. It's $97 if you get all 3 plus the expansions. Pretty cool. Not too bad. And it's already done. I appreciate this. I love that we're starting to see campaigns that are more like this, just a little bit more effort on the company side, so that when we part with our money, as hard as that is these days, and it's getting harder and harder, we can back with more confidence. I like that. So it's already tested, developed, illustrated, and sampled. By November, they're already submitting the final files to manufacturing, and then they're printing it in February, and it gets to you in May of next year. That is actually a pretty quick turnaround. That's super cool. I really dig that. So props to them for that. And again, looks pretty cool. Next up, we have U-Boot, which is a U-boat kind of simulator kind of game. It's pretty wild. So 155,000. 1,475 backers, so 5 days ago. They had like a quick false start on the campaign, but they didn't like the naming of it, I think. So they canceled it and then refunded or relaunched the campaign. Now, this is an interesting one. It has like the biggest mini ever. It's huge, 90 centimeters long. So it's actually quite large. It comes in multiple pieces. By now, these stretch goals have it to where it magnetizes together, which is pretty cool. The next one they have is where the little rudders move, which is, pointless, but also kind of cool. This is an interesting game. There's nothing else like it. It is app-driven. In fact, I think I had it right here. Yeah, the game uses a companion app. I'll show that in a little bit. But only one of you is kind of really using that. So you actually are like manning this submarine, doing submarine combat. And so one of you is the captain, one of you is the first mate, one of you, like you take all these different roles, and one of them uses the app to do different stuff. So let's go and take a look at that real quick. Just kind of see, I guess price-wise, it's about 200 and I think like about a little under 250 USD for this, 199 pounds. And that is like ultimate neoprene playing mats, resin markers. You get the plastic U-boat, right? So all of that. A collector's edition and plastic model, $160. If you just want the model, it's about 99 pounds. So it is quite expensive. It is a very big premium thing. This is something definitely only possible through Kickstarter for sure. And about 69 pounds for the base collection, actually just the game itself. And then you can have some of the add-ons as well. And as you can see, you get a whole bunch of other stuff too, right? Little guns and stuff like that, a whole bunch of cards and tokens, and even like an attack disc, where you're like getting your bearings and stuff like that. Captain's log chart. I mean, it is intense. And then of course the app as well. And again, you do a whole bunch of stuff there. As you can see, at one point, you're literally like shooting the gun. So it's like half video game, half sim, half board game. I know that's 3 halves. That's pretty much where it's at right now. Pretty crazy stuff. As you can see, the first officer here doing, like going through the periscope and stuff like that. Whereas the navigator is busy, figuring out the bearing, stuff like that. And then there's the chief engineer that's having to do all this stuff. If this sounds interesting to you, there is, like I said, nothing else like it. It looks super cool. A lot of people that played it definitely loved it. You got to have the right group for this. You got to have the right mindset for this. And it is app driven. So know that. But yeah, you're busy, delivering orders and having everybody work together. Pretty darn unique. And definitely what Kickstarter was for. Spiritfire, on the other hand, I can't tell you that much about without probably watching hours of other people trying to explain what this game is. This is by Orange Nebula, and if you didn't know how Orange Nebula typically operates, not always, but often they produce a game like this that talks about how innovative it is, and it looks different and looks interesting, but they struggle, or at least they choose not to super explain it, right? You're gonna have to just kind of buy into the experience. This is something that perhaps is worth a whole separate video on when it comes to, if you do a dungeon crawl, I can just say, you all are working together as a team. You get 3 actions per turn. After all of your turns are over, then the round ends, the enemies go, and then how a dungeon crawl works in your head, right? You know how a social deduction game typically works in your head. You know a lot of these very obvious genres that you've played before. So when you make something new like this, right, like Spiritfire here, which doesn't look like anything you've ever played before, or it won't play like anything you played before, that's both cool and super exciting, but at the same time, it's very hard to explain how the gameplay is when you have nothing to kind of compare it to, right? In your head. It's very hard to communicate that, especially on a Kickstarter page. And honestly, I don't think they necessarily try either, because it would be a hard thing to do. And so you just kind of get this general idea of how to play this game. And it's like a solo with friends. I mean, they make it kind of advertisey. That's definitely their language that they use, is a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of high level fluff talk, right, for what you're doing. Slip into and out of various realms, and open new content packs as you unlock them. Everybody loves opening content packs these days. That's just everything. But this isn't really telling you exactly how you play the game. Like when you sit down and play it, how do you play it? There are other videos. I'm not going to take the whole video on this, that you can look on YouTube. Go ahead and search it up. Other creators have tried to help explain this game a little bit on opportunity to. I mean, there's a lot of different things you're doing besides combat, and all of it plays fairly unique by the looks of it. So it could very much interest you, but you got to know what you're getting into. And there's still a lot of. If you go to the comments, you're gonna see a lot of people asking questions on what packs they need and stuff like that to be able to play. And it's a lot. It's a lot. This is different, and that's cool, and I dig that. But they do not do a good job. I mean, so now we're on the green color kit, right? Which is just an aesthetic option. So you just get different colors. It's just, honestly, I don't know what they're doing. I spent some time reading through about half this page, and I was like, you know what? I know other YouTubers have. I've seen some of the videos where other people have tried to explain this. Feel free to check them out, okay? They're on YouTube. Go for it. Best of luck. Just know you're going to spend some time investing in this game before you probably back it. Core pledge is $100, so that's nice at least. That's a pretty good price. And then, of course, the retailer pledge $400, which you don't care about. And then there's 310 people sitting there at $1. So, $100, you get the game. As far as you know, that's probably good, I guess. Most people who play Orange Nebula games, they definitely love them. They're highly regarded. That's super great. I got no idea what Spiritfire is. It's a living board game. Apparently it's alive, so you better feed it and change its diaper when it poo-poos. Okay, next up we have Gamefold, a customized game table that can do more. $250+. Really, it's right there at about $250. $2 million raised, and that is not because this one's a scam. This one actually is a legit table. Oh my gosh, what do you know? Actual real companies will make real products. It's amazing. That's a comment to the other table, the Toizo table or whatever. I'm not giving that any more coverage except later on. It's just unfortunate they've stolen as much money as they have. Gamefold table, $250. That's a good price for it. It's no longer exactly 3x6. They have changed that a little bit. It's now like 3.3 by like 5.9. So one of the reasons it changed is because now it can do 3x3 games better because of that 3x3. It's a little bit extra space there for you to accommodate a lot of square games that do that. So that's super helpful. Anyway, they got a lot of good stuff here. It's very customizable. You can do a whole bunch of stuff. It also makes it a little bit of a nicer fit for Warhammer if you connect 2 of them together, which you totally can do. Anyway, Very cool. I've covered this several times. I just want to explain a little bit of that size difference and just to show you that, hey, there's actually still a table here. They've done some cool upgrades. If we go to additional stretch goals here, okay, so I'm scroll back up here. They extended the overhang a little bit, so there's a lot more leg room there. You're not just right there at the actual like bars that hold it up, which is pretty good. The reason that matters is because of this cross beam right here. So the one I have, the Alpha Gaming table, it has them just on the sides, and so they don't really affect you too much. But this one does have that center one plus this like middle one that goes in, so that would affect you a little bit. So that's really good to see. They added like a phone tablet holder and stuff like that. All that's pretty cool. 2 color options. That's neat. This is pretty cool though. So they talked about the table dimensions. I mentioned that a little bit. They do an adjustable table height now. So now all tables can be higher. So you can actually stand at it. That's big for stuff like Warhammer, stuff like that, where you're walking around the table, moving your stuff. So very nice to see that. Or if you just have taller chairs, stuff like that. A lot of tall people like to have that. So it's pretty good to have that. Improved legroom, mentioned that. They have cable management now in it. Look, there's just a lot of really cool stuff. They're definitely listening to feedback and making this as good as it can be. This looks pretty cool and is definitely recommended for me. Next up, we have the LeTable, another game table. So many game tables. I noticed at Essence Spiel, there's a ton of game table companies. This is becoming a huge thing, I think, where there's a lot of new players on the scene making these tables, or there's just a lot more options. And honestly, more options are good for customers, so I'm all about it. This one, again, very different, very interesting, very orange in this picture. So this one has, I've shown this a little bit before, everything pops out of it, right? So it's this normal table, and then you can like press it and it pops out. You have this little tray here. You can charge your phone there. You can hold like a wine glass or a cup. The cup holder is really thin. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend a lot of drinking there, but there is one cool feature that's different than a lot of the other ones. Also, you get to pick between a regular one with like well about that big and an actual high well like that. So that's really cool. I do like the high sides one. Definitely very cool there. And they do have different lengths as well. They have a 6 foot and a 7 foot length one, which is, again, pretty nice. It's about 3 feet wide, a little bit more, about 3.25 feet wide. And so, yeah, that's really cool to see, I think. Again, I would love to see the 4, but, it is what it is. Again, that cup holder is pretty low. This is the cool thing here. So the topper, they have stands on it. The topper then becomes essentially a game platform, which I think is a very smart move for a topper. So you can take the topper off like normal, right? But then, oh yeah, so that's kind of how they pop out. They just slide out like that, which is very nice. You can see how thin this is. So that looks really thin. The wine glass holder obviously holds it nicely, but otherwise, that looks like that could spill very easily. That's not really going to hold anything in there. It does have the LEDs, which is very cool, of course. It has like no padding. Instead, it's like a wool texture on there. And then they have a little bit of a deeper drawer, but not too much. But this is cool. I really dig this. You put the little posts in, and bam, now you have an extra table space up there. I think that's cool. I'd like to see more game tables start doing stuff like that. That's super nice. I really dig that. And they get long too, which is great. And it looks pretty sturdy. So yeah, not too bad. That being said, the price is definitely there. So it's $699, so $700 for the deep well or non-deep well. And then of course you have the 6-person and the 8-person one. And both of these, from what I can tell, don't have the low sides. They're only high sides. And that's $1,300 and $1,600. So definitely a lot more, and these just come with it. A lot more of the traditional cost, though still fairly cheap for a board game table. Not as much as the fold-out one, but obviously it's a little bit more of a legit table as well. So kind of cool. Let's do some updates. This is Middara. The only thing I want to say here on Middara mostly is that this is how you show that you're actually working on the game. Is by making one like this where it just goes through so many different things that they're doing and working on and scaling and doing stuff like that and working on all of these combatants. And they have a list of them. They have examples of the pictures. They're actually working on the game. By the way, this mini is looking amazing, looking super cool. I think that might be a 3D print because of the hole there. Like that might be a drain hole to make it hollow. Going over, oh yeah, I mean, even the upgrades to here, stuff like that, super cool. Looking over all the minis, which by the way, these are going to be starting in production here soon. Really getting worked on like the tooling of it. But as you can see, no hole there, obviously, right? So I think that's why it's maybe a 3D print there. Either way, it's a lot. It's a lot. So they've been doing a ton of work, and I do really appreciate that. I'm really glad to see that actually happen. So yeah, they're still working on it, of course. They say 78%. We'll see. This is definitely a large undertaking. It's definitely a big game. Wave 2 is going to be massively huge. The first game already was. But yeah, I like seeing an update there. Escape from Arkham Asylum had an update, guys, and it's like not even a good one, but I'm just amazed that they had it. This has been 3 months since their last update, I believe, and yeah, it is now actually starting production. Escape from Arkham Asylum miniatures has started for the production. Now, just as the miniatures, I don't know about everything else. They're doing E-Star Games manufacturing. It's what they did with their Harry Potter To Catch a Snitch. I am not a huge fan of E-Star manufacturing when it comes to their miniatures. The miniatures are not as high quality. They work, and especially for simple minis, they're actually pretty good, but they are not my favorite manufacturer by far. And so yeah, it's whatever. I'm hoping the minis are still good. I really do. I really want them to be good. But yeah, I mean, this is like all we got. It's like this. Nothing about the game or anything like that. Just miniatures are starting to be produced. But hey, I'm glad they're not just like dropping the ball. That being said, we have no pictures of it either. They've announced E-Star. They've said they've started, but we have no pictures of nothing. So it could be smoke and mirrors, but I'm hoping not. I really am. Tanares, their pledge manager for the Ultimate Edition closes November 3rd. So if you haven't finished that yet, if you were looking for that, that will be here very soon. And then it'll be fulfilling Q1 2024. So very soon afterwards. That's really good to see. The RPG, it just says it'll be for a little bit longer. It doesn't really say too much more. I don't know exactly when that'll be, but I guess we'll see. Mass production, they're just showing, hey, guess what? Look at that. We're printing all the stuff that we've had and already delivered before. So that's pretty cool, I guess. But yeah, anyway, that's available to you guys. Heroes of Might and Magic 3, the board game. This one, the pledge manager was extended. They didn't say, I think they said about a month. So not too much longer, but the deadline for Wave 1 shipping has already passed. So this is only for Wave 2 shipping. So just as an FYI. And then if you want to see their gigantic box unboxed, their white sample there, you can see that there. It's a big box. Next up, more Batman Gotham City Chronicles Season 3 and RPG. Guess what? Also, the production process has started for that, and with RPG following soon. Very cool. It's good to see all these games actually being made and being delivered. I don't know what caused all of these to be done like at the same time, but all these ones that I've been covering and kind of watching just started, which is super cool, I think. So that is still set to deliver between March and April of next year. So that's pretty cool. They did delay the RPG. They delayed it on purpose by 2 weeks because it takes less time to make, and they want to be smart about storage things. So they want them to kind of finish around the same time. It's kind of the idea there. So they started the long one, and then they're doing that one. And it'll end at kind of the same side there. And also a cool coin and an announcement, of course, that Conan is coming back to Kickstarter. So you can check that out. Again, everything's linked in the description below, of course. Agemonia, I haven't shown this off since Essence Spiel and then a long time before that, so that's pretty cool. Production on Agemonia will be completed by the end of this month. The game will be on a boat headed for port on the 1st or 2nd week of November. Super cool to see. Very glad to see this finally coming to an end. It is long coming, and again, one of the games I enjoyed actually quite a bit as a prototype. I had a lot of fun with this one. All right, next up we have a Come On announcement. This is from the art of Paul Bonner. This is The Dead Keep. It is a cooperative dungeon crawl campaign, and it's going to be coming out, or at least we're going to hear more, Q2 of 2024. Now, whether or not this is a Kickstarter or not, I don't know. I suspect not, but sometimes they flip-flop and kind of swap between that, so it'll be kind of interesting to see. They haven't really said anything. They do say a cooperative dungeon crawl campaign, but I don't think they mean that as a crowdfunding campaign. Typically, this is not exactly how they announce their next big thing, especially when they want to be able to pump Deceased, which is coming out here very soon. So normally they don't want to take the limelight from that for another campaign. But it is Guillotine Games that are doing it, which is kind of interesting as well. So yeah, what we'll see out of this, I don't know. I'll let you guys know as more information comes available, of course. Chronicles of Drunagor, Age of Apocalypse, that's coming soon. So let's talk about that a little bit. Everything is pretty much en route So you'll see, hey, this is en route, 9 containers, en route, right? So everything's coming en route, en route, en route, en route. Everything's coming. That's super cool to see. Really appreciate that. That's great. A little bit of an update on the translations. Now, they are doing something with the Apocalypse dice set. As you know, that's delayed because of Spider-Man games kind of struggling to produce exactly what they kind of envisioned. And kind of what was like promised at the time of the campaign. So they've been working with that. They want to make sure they get you something right. They do say they're doing a comprehensive evaluation and quality control on it, and they're getting a new version of it to kind of look at. I am mildly involved in that process. I'm giving some advice as I see things. So definitely trying to balance, obviously, getting you guys a good product and getting it to you in time to actually use it in your game, because that's super important as well. And obviously with the delays on Spider-Mine's games side, that's proving a little difficult. So working on that a little bit too. And then of course some spiel stuff and another giveaway. So down here they have a new giveaway. They want to hear your thoughts on board game media. That includes channels just like this, of course, but a whole lot of other stuff. You guys get your game stuff, your board game news and information all over the place. I want to hear about it. So there is a link there. I'll try and link to that in the description below. YouTube doesn't like me to link to Gleam stuff, so we'll see. I'll try to link down to it below as best as possible for you guys, but feel free to check it out. I'll link down to this update if nothing else, so you'll be able to see that. And they had some pictures, and I noticed this picture here. That's me talking with a patron and some other viewers, and I just wanted to say how great it was to meet all of you at Essenspiel. It was such a blast. The highlight of my trip there was definitely the many conversations I had with you guys. Hopefully you appreciated the time I spent with you. If you did come and say hi, I definitely loved meeting every single one of you, and it was so great. Guys, that's it. That's really all I had for this update. It's kind of a weird lull where there's a lot of like Deceased and a lot of big things coming out on Gamefound on Kickstarter here very soon, and some things kind of just recently ended, but otherwise it's kind of right in the middle here. Now there are some big things that I didn't cover because I covered them last time, like The Witcher, Path of Destiny, stuff like that. So there are some $1 million plus campaigns. There's actually several now with LeTable and then Dice Throne, X-Men, the cooperative ones that they're doing there, all that kind of stuff. And all that's linked down in the description below. Feel free to check that out, of course. But I wanted to show you some of these updates because I haven't really covered updates a lot lately, and there's a lot of games actually being made and delivered, and I wanted to kind of show games actually being made and delivered because that doesn't always happen. Now, half the time I feel like I'm covering other stuff, so definitely wanted to give you some good information, some positive information for once. So there's all of that for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the update. I'll talk to you guys again very soon with some top 10s, some unboxings, some reviews, and of course more news for you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, guys. Bye.